mainly because Earth is like a potato. So
I heard potato Earth before. We heard all. We heard donut Earth, potato Earth, watermelon Earth, pear Earth. Y'all hungry as hell, huh? 58,
Hot
what up?
dog Earth.
Hot dog, yeah, we heard hot dog too.
I hope it's not a hot dog, but yeah.
G'day. It certainly is a hot dog. I'd like to say hello to Shepard. I haven't graced his presence before. I'm just representing the Southern Hemisphere here because obviously I'm always jumping in these spaces and everyone is up from the north. So I'm from the south, so I'm representing. The one thing I wanted to explain, which I think I can explain it, sort of like explain it like I'm five, is that the pathway of both the stars and the sun overhead, you would agree would be an arc. And that arc is correlated with your latitude. So if you are on the equator, you're at like what would be included, you would say as a 0 point. And so the stars overhead will be tracking at 9 degrees. And the sun also will be tracking at 9 degrees. Now, if I was to move to a position that's like, say, 20 degrees latitude, whether or not it's north, whether or not it's south, the stars and both the sun will also arc according to that. So if you're 20 degrees, you take that from 90, you're going to get a 70-degree angle where you're actually viewing things from. So when you look up, and if you're watching both either the star tracking over your overhead, or if you're at nighttime and you're watching the stars tracking overhead, if you pitch your arm over from straight up down to 9 degrees, so you pitch 20 degrees, you're going to see that both the stars and the sun will follow that exact same path. So I wanted to outlay that because I believe that might explain some of the confusion that's going on between people saying, which direction the sun is moving, which way the star trails are moving. So wherever you are on, whatever your latitude is, you basically, if you're at 30 degrees, you just take off 90, you become 60, you look up, you'll see that the arc is 60 degrees. Now, I initially put the request up to jump in when you were asking about which angle the Milky Way is. Now, I think that the answer is a little bit hard to explain because I believe most people will agree if they ever look up at the stars at night, they'll see that big fluffy sort of band, and that basically is the center body of the Milky Way. And so like the other parts of the stars will be fairly empty. There's a couple of stars here and there, but then there's this big band which is fluffy and it's full of stars, right? Now, the thing about that particular Milky Way band of stars is that I believe in most places, wherever you are across the planet, it won't track like in a linear direction. It sort of flaps down towards your horizon at some point in time. So it sort of flaps down like a page, like a page folding on a book. In most cases, it doesn't peel the same way as the way that a sun sets. It sort of flaps down on a side angle. And I believe, like looking it up, it'll be very interesting to work out. But I think that it's about 60 degrees to what the Earth would be. So everywhere you are, basically, it's sort of crashing down like a page on a book. So I hope that makes sense. Because I think that when we're talking about 3D space, not only is it's moving in a lateral direction, it's moving in the other direction too, because we're pitched on a funny angle too. So I don't think you can get the exact number because I think you've got a left and a right angle and a right and a left angle, if that makes sense, because we're in 3D space.
Yeah, that did actually. That was helpful. Thank you.
Could I ask you?
Welcome, by the way. Welcome. Go ahead, Brennan.
Could I ask Swala a question?
Jump in.
Yep. Where are you from? What nation
I'm-
or country?
I'm from Melbourne, Australia. So I'm right down the bottom. And I see the sun totally different to the way the flat Earth model proposes. So it grades. One Piper loves this comment. During summer, I'm pretty much pulling out of summer right now. The sun rises in the southeast and it sets in the southwest, which is going the opposite direction to the way the flat Earth circle is proposing. So I always invite any flat earther to come down to Australia or go to South America, and then suddenly realize that flat Earth is wrong because the sun's doing really, really weird things down here, which flat Earth just cannot explain.
Yeah, in fact, it's logically impossible for it to rise in the southeast, given the usual model that they use, right? It literally debunks flat Earth, doesn't it?
Yeah, because if you were on a flat Earth, if you were in New York and if you were in Melbourne, right, the sun would always approach you from the northeast, and it would always run away from you at the northwest. But down here, no, it does the totally opposite thing. It is peeling away. It's going towards Antarctica. It doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah,
people have to think about this.
yeah, if the sun is over the equator, it's simply impossible. It can't be. So they must give up the typical flat Earth model, which is the sun going over the equator. They have to give up. Another question for you. Where you are, can you see Polaris?
Hell no, no way. No, when I look south, I see most of the sun spinning to my south. So this is the thing, Shepard, is the fact that I've probably opened invites to probably about 3 or 4 flat earthers to come down to Australia to take a flight with me at some point in time. They all reject me every single time.
Yeah,
I'm a nice person when you come and have beer with me. Perfectly fine.
In fact, flat earthers claim that Polaris is the highest point on the dome. It's right smack in the middle, and every person on the flat Earth should be able to see it because it's the highest object that is on the dome. And if you can't see it, then that can't be true. It cannot.
Well, hold on. I like to
true.
play devil's advocate. No, I don't. I disagree with that. I understand their model. I understand their explanation now. There is something above us that presents this to us. So these things. Well, first of all, Polaris is at the North Pole. It's at the North Pole. The North Pole points perfectly to Polaris right now, right?
It's
In a globe Earth. In a globe Earth.
It's half a degree off or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
But
exactly.
it hasn't always been. At one point, it was a different star.
There's a 26,000 year cycle called the precession of the equinox. And I believe I have an explanation for that, but
I don't understand.
But
please go ahead, because I don't understand how anybody on a flat Earth cannot see Polaris.
Well, okay. So the answer to their question is that we're looking up at the dome, or we're looking up at something that's over us, and imagine standing on the equator, and then imagine placing these things that we're supposed to look at. I mean, theoretically, we can't see forever. He's got a good point. Hold on a second. Why couldn't you just get a telescope long enough? Why couldn't you just get a telescope long enough to be able to see everything from your vantage point?
Yeah, you should be.
If in fact it was flat.
Well, not only that.
Well, I can see stars in all different directions if I was up high enough on a mountain. And so there's no logical reason why I couldn't go out there and see Polaris if I tried.